So the question is, you just found a realtor, you signed an agreement, and now what should happen? What should happen on your part, and what should happen on the realtor's part? So, a couple of things. What usually happens is a phone call saying, hey, when can we schedule an open house? And that's about the limit, the full extent of most conversation you're going to have with most realtors. Because, like as I said before, and I don't want to knock realtors, but over 90% of them are not full-time realtors and close less than 2 houses a year. I think the average is 1.3. So, let me tell you what probably will happen and what should happen. If you picked a typical realtor, nothing's going to happen. There's going to be zero communication. And we've listed properties, and this has happened with us, and it is infuriating. Because if nothing's happening, then there should be a conversation between the realtor and the seller, right? Even if that's, hey, listen, nothing's happening. We're not getting interest. We're not getting showings. We're not getting offers. Let's talk about what needs to take place. Now, what needs to take place can be a few things. There could be an issue with how the house looks. There could be an issue with the outside of the house. There could be an issue with the price. I can tell you that in 2020, very often it's an issue with the price. And, if you've had a conversation with a realtor already saying, listen, this is my price, I got to sell it at this price, there's no way I can go down because I owe it or whatever the reason, then I guess the conversation may not take place. But the truth is that in 2020, via the amazing internet, everybody pretty much can see what your house is selling for. Now, there are definitely tips and tricks that we use to make sure that a house is getting shown and that we are getting offers. Now, I could tell you, and this is something that's a little counterintuitive, but if you're getting a lot of showings and you're not getting offers, it's always because of the price. And that sounds weird, right? You would think, hey, if I'm asking too much, nobody would show up. But if people are interested in that area, they're going to come. They're just not going to give you an offer that's too low. So you have to analyze then what's going on. Is nobody coming? If nobody's coming, you have probably a bigger problem. Your pictures might be bad. Your house may be in terrible condition. The wording on listing might be terrible. But assuming you're getting traffic, right, at open houses or off, not open houses, but just people are asking to come see it, and you're not getting any offers, it's always because of the price. So you got to talk about price. Now, I understand if you're in a situation where you can't go any lower, it's fine. But you have to be in communication with a realtor. What should happen is you sign it, you schedule a bunch of open houses in advance. Okay, the realtor says, hey, take care of X, Y, and Z, get rid of this stuff, move this, clean this out, take care of this, make sure at the open house you have bread baking in the oven, whatever the hell it is. And there's a proactive approach to getting this sold. And then every week you should be having a call with your realtor about what's going on, what's happening, okay? And without a doubt, okay, there's really only a few ways you communicate with potential buyers, right? The first is your price. Number one is price, right? You could sell any house today, anywhere, if the price is right. Think about that, right? That wasn't the case 30 years ago, right? I'm almost 50. When I was young, it was a different world. Without the internet, if no one saw a sign or saw an ad in the paper, no one knew about your house. Today, anybody looking can find it. So price is the number one way you communicate. The second is pictures, and those need to be pretty good. And the third is the description that's on there. So these are the way you communicate with potential buyers. You have to talk about moving those things, changing the price, lowering the price. Conversations need to be had with a realtor, and they should be had definitely no less frequently than once a week. If you're not speaking to a realtor once a week, you got a problem with your realtor, which is why we said before you should never sign longer than a 3-month listing agreement. And every realtor will scream and yell and say, oh, that's too short, it's too short. There's not enough time for the market to really get a hold. It may not be. But in 3 months, if the guy is one of the 95% of the realtors who really don't do good jobs, then you can get a new one. And if they're good, then extend it. But never sign a listing agreement for more than 90 days. And if you're not in community, if your realtor isn't calling you once a week to give you an update, listen, even if it's to say nothing, we didn't have a good open house, we really have to consider dropping the price, anything. But that is a conversation that needs to be had. If no conversation, no communication is going on between you and a realtor at the very worst once a weekly basis, then you got to really think about whether you've chosen the right realtor or not. And the problem is most people sign an agreement for a year and they're stuck with that guy. So we're going to talk the next one about what you can do if you screwed up already and hired a bad realtor.